Ready? Who's ready?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our November budget update and budget engagement session. We're so glad everyone could join us today. First, let us take a moment and introduce both our Superintendent Shauna Murphy, and Treasurer Michael Guston.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. My name is Shauna Murphy. I serve Cincinnati Public Schools as the superintendent. I do want to make sure we say hello and thank you so much. We do have two board members here with us tonight, Board Member Jim Crossett, and we also have our Vice President, Eve Bolton. She happens to also be the chair of our Finance Committee.
Good evening, folks. My name is Michael Guston. I am the Treasurer and Chief Financial Officer. Happy to be with everyone tonight. I think we're going to have a lively conversation about the budget.
So tonight, you'll have an opportunity to see a brief slide deck that's been put together for the pleasure of the public. There will also be an opportunity for question and answer. We do have several people with us live here at the Education Center in our Interactive Learning Center, and then we will also take any calls or comments, questions that we have coming online or through Facebook.
All right, I'll get us started with a couple quick slides. I know we want to get to your questions as quickly as possible, but thought it was important to give folks an update on where we are. So the first slide you're seeing there is our budget and three-year forecast. This was presented to the board back in October. This is something that school districts are required to do twice a year to let the community, the board, and the state of Ohio know how we're doing for finances. Most important number for us today is that blue highlighted section there. Those are our anticipated expenditures for the next couple years, and we'll talk about that a little bit next slide. The other thing I wanted to mention at the bottom there, the orange highlight, this section represents property tax renewals or replacement levies. And so in October when we did this, those numbers are put down there in the renewal section. Our voters did pass issue 28, our renewal of the $48 million levy. So now that money actually goes up for future forecast into the regular revenues. So that's nice, and it helps our long-term cash balances. If you go to the next slide, Rob. Kind of get started current year to next year. You can notice there the reduction of the budget target from this year is $634.7 million. We're looking right now at a reduction to $634.2 million, so about $500,000 total. There are some potential additions to the budget. So there are step increases and cost of living adjustments. I think one thing we need to mention from last time's budget process is that our unions graciously worked with us and forewent a COLA at the start of this year. So that is something up for renegotiation now. We also have to talk about facilities maintenance and repairs, and inflationary costs are all potential additions to the budget. And then the one that I think people are most excited about would be strategic plan programs and initiatives, and what items we want to choose to add to our budget as we start to build. I don't think it's a secret that we've started the process of launching a new strategic plan. If you want to talk about that, Superintendent.
I absolutely want to talk about the strategic plan. Thank you, Mike. So we are just about at the end of our current strategic plan. There are several goals from that plan that we were able to achieve and accomplish, and some that we're still working on. Technically, the plan ends in 2027, and so what our thought is, it would be best to go ahead and start to launch the next phase starting in January 2026 with a lot of public engagement, with a lot of engagement from our staff, our students, our families, the community at large, with a kickoff of that strategic plan coming for the 2026-2027 school year. So the board has charged Mike and I with making sure we have this strategic plan completed and aligned to our budget by June 2026 for a August, September back to school launch. So excited about that work.
All right, Rob, if you'll go to the next slide. Just a couple more and then we'll get to questions. So big picture, did want to celebrate some wins. Obviously, the fund was passing the $48 million renewal. That secured funding for an additional 10 years for us. The other win I think we're proud of is that the county declined to enact the piggyback homestead and owner-occupied tax exemptions. And that was a big issue at the end of October. It preserved for us about $7.5 million in revenue annually. So those were big wins for the long-term financial stability of the district. A couple of threats we should be aware of too. One we're looking at now is reduced federal funding. This is at the federal level. Now that Congress is back in session, you'll start to see more news about this, but looking at potentially maybe a 25% reduction in Title I funding, elimination of Title III, which is used to support our English language learners, and then some reductions of Title II and Title IV. So those are things we'll have to be aware of. And then at the same time, there are some property tax reform bills that are working their way through the Ohio House right now. I won't go into those in detail unless someone asks a question, but all of those have potential because Cincinnati Public is at the 20 mil floor to reduce property tax revenue in future years. And then just one more thing, to answer a question that's come up in the last session, if you go one more, Rob, is where we are in the process. So I put these slides in. These were shared at our Budget Finance Committee. So you can kind of see the "We Are Here" label. So we're at the very beginning of this process. This is our second engagement session, and you can kind of go through this slide deck. You can see we have activities for every month, but we are very early in the process, and I think this is a great time to start gathering feedback.
So what we're hoping for tonight, in addition to being able to address any questions the public may have, we're also very much interested in your ideas that will help us formulate what our budget will be for the 2026-2027 school year. So Rob, I think this is the time we ask if there might be any calls online.
Yeah, if you'd like to participate online, please go ahead and put your comments in the chat section of Facebook, and we'll happily share that with the panel. Or if you're watching this on Zoom, you can go ahead and chat with the host, and we will again share. If you'd like to join us via Zoom, you can raise your hand, and we'll happily bring you in as well. So feel free. Again, questions or feedback or your ideas about the budget are all wonderful for us to get. And of course, our friends here in the audience, for you as well, if you'd like to participate and you have questions, please go ahead and sit up. Oh, yeah, go ahead, absolutely, please. We can go ahead and just start that process. So we have a couple questions here in person.
And then, Rob, while she's coming, do we have the opportunity today for any feedback at the end of the session?
Yes, absolutely. We have a survey that we will share in the chat and on Facebook. In the comments section for you to be able to fill out the survey and, again, continue to give your feedback on how you would like to see the budget process go. Thank you very much, Superintendent.
Thank you.
And our first individual here in public.
Good evening.
Oh, you need to do it. Man.
Right. I just couldn't see you. I'm peeing around the corner. Okay.
Let's do this as well.
Well, you can leave that there. It's cute.
There you go.
Of course.
Is that better? Yeah.
You want me to say my name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi,
I
Kim.
have two granddaughters that's still at Data Montessori school. In the last couple of years, we done had 3 different non-Montessori-based teachers. I have one now that I'm having a problem with my granddaughters in English. Now, I'm here to ask you all, since we done got this budget passed and everything, when are you all gonna bring back some of the old Montessori-based teachers, or what type of schooling, education that you're gonna give these new teachers to come in and teach my granddaughters?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Thank you for choosing Cincinnati Public Schools and Dater Montessori. We definitely appreciate that. That's a great question. And actually, the district's been doing a lot of movement in our Montessori landscape. So your question is super timely because right now there is a group of teachers and administrators who are working on our Montessori professional development community. So we had been sending our teachers to Xavier University for the Montessori training. Xavier made the decision to stop that training at the end of last school year. And so in speaking with our board, they agreed to support our teachers in the professional development that's needed by setting aside dollars for us to develop this program that we'll do ourselves internally with our amazing Montessori teachers leading the way. So understand what you're saying. I hear you, and we are working. We believe that this program and training will be able to be rolled out for September 2026.
Okay, so also you all done closed Cumminsville and some other schools and done sent all these bad kids to Data Montessori, even though they may live in the neighborhood or they may have a sibling there. These kids are not Montessori-based students, so they are not grasping what's going on at Data Montessori. So right now we have a whole lot of frustrated children there, bad children. I hate to say it that way, but my two girls are in the same community. And in Miss Black class, they are taking a recess. Now, these are straight A student girls, but now I'm having a problem with Miss Black class now, where I had to go in there today and talk to Mr. Gum them in regards to her giving these two girls a F, and it's not acceptable. And she claims she has my kids' best interest. No, you're not. No, you don't. So what are we gonna be able to do before y'all get to 20, when the new teachers go in there? So I need my grandkids to be moved out of her class as soon as possible. But y'all don't have no Montessori-based teachers there no more that's gonna teach English. So what am I to do with my girls?
So what I'll do is I will talk to two people. One, Assistant Superintendent Deb Klein. She oversees Dater Montessori School as well as all of our Montessori schools. And I'll also reach out personally to Principal Gum to help navigate this situation.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
I think I have your email today, too.
Yes.
Yes,
I was
ma'am.
frustrated this
I'm
morning.
so glad you came tonight to talk to us. Yes, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Madam Superintendent, Mr. Treasurer, as well as thank you to our board members, Board Member Bolton and Crossett. Welcome. I just wanted to say thank you to all the hard work that CPS, the board, and staff are doing. My name is Derek Dansby. I'm the founder of Own Cincy, which is a home ownership program that's designed to help increase the number of homeowners that we have in the city of Cincinnati, as well as maintain the homeowners that we have in the city of Cincinnati. And probably most importantly, to make sure that those homeowners that we do have transfer that wealth down to their loved ones in the unlikely event that they do pass. We have our annual event coming up on November 22nd. It's going to be at the Cintas Center from 8:30 to 4. It is completely free and available to everyone who wants to attend. We have events, like I said, that will help you increase your home ownership if you're thinking about becoming a homeowner. If you already own a home, we have home repair programs that are available for you to access that. And as I mentioned before, we will have attorneys on site that can help you create a plan for you to pass your home down to your loved ones. But the biggest thing and the biggest reason why I'm here today, one of the big things that we did this year, based on feedback we got, was that we heard that there wasn't enough youth. There wasn't enough for young people to do. So what we have done is we created a youth simulation where our young people can go through a simulation. They get paid on a monthly basis. They pay their bills. If they want to start an entrepreneurship program, we have some skills trainings on that. We also have some other simulations for our young people on how to better manage their money, more focused on financial literacy. But if you and CPS would love to collaborate and partner with you all to help us get the word out, you can visit our website at owncincy, OWNCINCY.org, and you can find out some more information and you can register today. But anything we can do to collaborate with the board and the staff and the teachers as well as the parents at CPS, we are very open and welcome to do that.
Do you happen to have information available about your program for youth electronically?
We do not have it in electronic form,
Okay.
but we can work on getting something that can help you.
I was just going to suggest two things immediately that we can help you with. One, if you can get something to me, we can post it on our website.
Okay.
And then secondly, we can definitely share with our principals and our resource coordinators who have direct access. So my bosses are pointing this sheet out to me,
There's a QR code here.
the QR
Yes.
code here, but this is not available digitally yet.
The website is up. If
Okay.
you want to go to our own Cincy website, owncincy.org, you
Yes.
can go there, you can get more information, and you can register there.
Okay.
But as far as the curriculum that we're having for our young people, no, we do not have that on the website.
All right. We can share this information with our resource coordinators and our principals.
And, I just wanted to say in closing, as a member of the Planning Commission for the City of Cincinnati, homeownership is very important for our schools. It's very important for our young people and our parents to have a stable home. And we believe that a stable home helps ensure that they have a stable education.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Have a good evening.
You have a good evening.
Thank you.
Rob, do we have any questions online?
We absolutely do. Our first question, good evening. Could you shed some light on how much additional real estate tax revenues have gone to the schools since the recent properties value adjustment upwards? Please compare it to 2023 if you could.
So it's a great question. I don't have all the numbers in front of me. So I definitely something we could answer in writing. We did get some extra money from the property tax reappraisal in 2023. Basically because Cincinnati is at the 20 mil floor. And so the 20 mil floor allows our taxes to increase. At that point, there's also some additional funds from inside millage. What I will say, and this is the thing that I think is interesting, is that because of property tax appraisal, it works in both directions. So we get more local revenue, but the way the state funding formula is set up is that the state also recognizes that the district, for example, has more wealth. And so our state aid decreases. And so it's kind of it's a lagging indicator. So we get more money in year one, and then in years 2, 3, and future years, our state aid decreases. So I know people talk about schools getting a windfall, and that's not really an accurate statement. Because if you look at our total revenue, the state aid decreases to kind of make up for that. And so that's one of the issues that we have with the funding formula is that as we've shifted over years, the tax burden or the burden of funding schools from the state really to local taxpayers. We did a financial town hall last week, so I'll give a little plug for that. And the topic was the history of school funding in Ohio. And there were some really interesting graphs that we looked at there that show how from I think 2002 to 2023, how overall spending in Ohio, ranking for all the states, Ohio's dropped in spending, compared to the other states. But the amount of state funding has dropped considerably, where the amount of local funding has dropped a little bit. And what that really means is that the state share has gone up, the local share has gone down.
Thank you very much, Treasurer Mike. Our next question is going to come here from the audience. Hold on, let me.
All right, thank you all. Jay from WCPL Channel 9. Thank you all for doing this evening. A couple questions, particularly as it concerns potential impacts on the budget moving forward, given city ideas and things that the city separately from the district wants to implement as it concerns safety for our young people, one of our most important assets, really. City administration talked about bringing back yellow buses. Wants the district thoughts on the impact that could have on the budget, rerouting government square buses and things like that. I know there's been a lot of conversation back and forth on that, but what impact would bringing back yellow buses have on the budget, as well as what does partnering with CPS partnering with the city look like to help curb some of violent crime or give more programming to young people? What would that look like in terms of impact on the budget?
Okay, I'll start, and I know that Mike will help me. So programming, we're always open to programming. In Cincinnati Public Schools, we are community learning centers, and that means we are the hub of each of the communities that we are in. And in addition to offering athletics and extracurricular activities, if there is a partner, including the city, who would like to come in utilizing the schools and work with us to offer more opportunities to students, we can point you in the right direction for sure. Definitely open to that. As it relates to some of the violent behavior that we are seeing, it's unacceptable. And so what we do is continue to love on our kids and teach and reteach and restore them and not give up on them. And so we do have a board of education that has said, hey, we need school social workers in all of our schools. And we do that. We have a board of education who says we need counselors in all of our K-8 middle school and high schools. And we have done that. And so they see a value in making sure that we take care of the whole child. And that's what we're going to continue to do as an administrative team. As it relates to transportation, so a few years ago, maybe it's been 5 or 6 years now, we unfortunately lost what was known as dedicated school routes. That was not a Cincinnati Public School decision. We would love to have those back, where the children are riding the city buses independent of the public in general. I don't know that that's going to happen. And so looking forward and working with what I know right now, I never say never, but I don't imagine, for financial reasons in particular, that we'll return all students to yellow buses. The cost differential between a yellow bus and metro transportation is tremendous, and Mike can help me a little bit more with that. But if they have ideas for making this better, we're open. As it relates to young people having to do transfers of metro buses, we have significantly reduced the need for that. And I think over the past year anyway, we have seen that in action. We have a great partnership with Queen City Metro. Anytime there is something that may come up about a bus stop or the availability of a route, we have been able to meet with them and talk things through, and we keep communication going on a regular basis.
Mr. Crossett, did you want to add? I was at the government square meeting. You have to.
Yeah, you'll have to come to the podium. So Board Member Crossett is coming to the podium, and what I heard him begin to say is he was at the government square meeting. So in addition to how the school district partners with the city, there are multiple meetings that go on about transportation, about youth violence, and so Mr. Crossett was at a recent meeting.
Yeah, I've been participating in the government square meetings for the last few months, and student arrests at Government Square this year versus last year are down 86%. The Metro has come up with a new program, really addresses the needs of the student rather than just imposing a penalty. So thank you.
You sharing that, because I didn't have that statistic, but we're grateful to the number of community members who support the kids arriving to school and going home safely on the city buses. So we're very grateful.
All right. Would you say that the city's new implementation and potential expansion of a curfew has aided in some of that progress, particularly at Government Square? Not just Government Square, I know we like to focus on Government Square, but in other places that has aided the progress of keeping kids safe?
I haven't heard any data on that at all to be able to speak well to that. So I don't, that would be more of a question for the city in terms of if they're seeing an impact with the curfew. I do know that yesterday I read and saw that there's going to be a shift made by the mayor in terms of where the focus is, but I won't be able to speak to actual data or numbers on that. Yes, sir.
All right, just a quick reminder while we continue taking questions and thoughts and your input on the future budget impacts. If you'd like to ask a question on Facebook, please feel free to put your question in the comments, and we will happily share those questions or thoughts with the panel. And if you're on Zoom, again, you can also either join us by raising your hand or share your question in the comment, and we will happily ask the panel your question. So thank you, everyone, for continuing to participate. Our next question comes from Zoom. Wait, they started with wait. State funding for CPS went down. Please be exact, because I still don't understand how it is our increased taxes are not translating into more dollars for schools. So thank you for that question.
Yes, I should have brought the numbers out, so I apologize for not bringing the numbers out, and maybe I'll do a public like memo kind of thing to pull through the numbers, but yes, over time, and you can look at the percentages of state funding, and one of the things the state does is the fair funding formula looks at our enrollment. And it calculates out how much they should fund per student. So our rate's about $8,000. The state says it should cost about $8,000 for an average student. And then they look at the wealth of the district, and then they calculate out how much of that the state's going to pay. Probably 5 years ago, it was around 45%. It has dropped every year. So it drops to 36%, then 32%. At the rate we're going, it's going to end up at probably 25% in the next couple of years, unless there's a major change in the state law.
Thank you very much, Treasurer Mike. Okay, I have 2 questions on Facebook and a comment, and then I think I have another one in the audience here. So I'm going to go with Facebook for a moment. In addition to attending public school discussions, can you please provide examples on how parents can help support our truly add input in regarding the budget? Many parents are unaware of how much value and contribution they can add to the resolution of budgetary issues.
We love that question. One, thank you for your advocacy in joining us today to have the conversation. However, in addition to being here tonight, you can also submit your ideas to us. We are, as Mike said, at the very beginning stages of working on our budget for 2026, 2027. You can also help us by reaching out to your legislators, your local legislators. Your voice, your letters, your calls, your emails are extremely impactful. Mike mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we had an opportunity to speak before the county commissioners about a potential piggyback rollback of taxes. And we showed up and they heard us, and they did make the decision to not make any movement on it. If we had not shown up and expressed our concern, I'm not sure that outcome would have been the same. So your voice is extremely important, especially because you live in this community, and for some of you who have children to attend our schools, it's just simply not helpful to reduce funding, but to keep it up to date. If you do have any interest in our local school decision-making committees, one of their roles is to ensure that the budget meets the needs of the school. And so whether you're a member or not, those regular meetings at the schoolhouse level are open to the public, and that's one way you can express your concerns or your ideas, lend your support in making sure that our schools have the funding that they need. Making sure the legislators know from you that you feel like public dollars should go to public schools and not in other places would be extremely helpful as well. Any other ideas from our vice president, or, yes, ma'am, I knew it, yes.
Just an answer to the treasurer, to follow up on that answer? Okay, yes. Thank you. I'm old. Just as a follow-up, because I think the person that started their question with weight, and they were concerned about, what do you mean that we're not getting as much from the state, or my taxes are going up? Maybe, Mike, if you could explain, first of all, how long it's been since we've actually gotten new money regarding property tax, but also how some of the taxes that are leveled on folks they stay the same even when the property value goes up. If you could explain that a bit.
Sorry, not to make this a property tax meeting instead of a budget meeting, but yes, both points are very, very accurate. We have not asked for new money, for additional money from the taxpayers in, I think it's 9 years now. And the last time was the renewal we just did. That is pretty long for a school district, and I think we've done a great job of managing it. The other thing that Vice President Bolton pointed out is there are two types of tax levies. So there are what are called fixed sum levies and fixed rate levies. Fixed sum levies are exactly what they say. So when those are approved by the taxpayers, they are approved for a certain dollar amount. The one we renewed last week was a $48 million fixed sum levy. So that levy will only ever bring in $48 million. Like, no matter how much property taxes are, no matter how much values are, that there will always be $48 million. And then it's split amongst all of the taxpayers, based on the value of their properties. The other set of levies are what are called fixed rate levies. Fixed rate levies have the rate fixed, and then, as values increase, they would increase. But a long time ago, the state passed House Bill 920, which was a law, I think it was late 70s, early 80s, that basically counteracts that. And so it basically says that you should not get increases on inflationary. You should not get inflationary increases on property taxes. And so for most levies, you'll see, and now as the property values go up, the rates actually decrease. And you can look at millage rates over time, and you'll see each of those levies, the millage decreased. So that brings us to the third thing that I think we kind of go back to, which is what's called the 20 mil floor. And so as these things were self-leveling, the state also passed another law that creates a 20 mil floor for schools that says a school district should not have more than 20 mils, should not have less than 20 mils of collection. And so the 20 mil floor has helped us, now that we're on there, that when there are reappraisals, the district does get some additional money. There's a third thing called inside millage. And inside millage is millage that's split between the county and basically everyone in the taxing district. That too can increase. So if you want the longer version of this is a great segue. We are doing a town hall on December 3rd, I believe it's December 3rd, all about property taxes. So we'll be doing this for an hour. County Auditor Jessica Miranda will be joining us, and we will go through property taxes in incredible depth at that time. So we'll talk about all these topics for much more time than we have here tonight.
Thank you both very much. Again, we're going to one more time share how you can participate. You can, if you're in public or with joining us tonight, you can go ahead and ask your question as we get to you. If you're on Facebook, you can leave comments in the chat, and we're going to share that with the group. And or if you're on Zoom, you can go ahead and either raise your hand and or share a question in the chat, and we will share it with the panel. Our next comment from Facebook is from Iris Raleigh. And the first part of this was to the Metro response. Metro hasn't come up with that. That is a community, in parentheses, CACCI, and the 311 community responders. And then she also followed up, there are only 4 students taken to the curfew center, no shift, additional enforcement of the curfew on Short Vine. as of now. So thank you, Ms. Raleigh, for sharing that with us. We greatly appreciate it. And then we have a question here in the audience as well.
Another question. What are you all gonna do about the overcrowding in the classroom now at Data Montessori? Because like, back in the day, my daughter had to sit outside, sleep outside in order to get her daughter, well, the two girls that has a sister in the 12th grade, their mother had to sleep outside in order to get Denayla enrolled into Data Montessori. But in the last 3 years now, things just have changed with how enrollment is at Data Montessori. And it's not fair that y'all changing things and just throwing these other kids in there, and the teachers are being more overwhelmed and don't have time to teach the class because of these new students are more frustrated with change.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question. I'm happy that the board set policies that we don't have to have parents sleeping and waiting outside overnight to get their children in school. And I would tell you that this class size matter. We do have contractual obligations around the size of a classroom. And in our Montessori classes, there are mixed age groups all in one class, but we can't go over a particular number of students. So that's another question for me to talk with the principal about in terms of what exactly might be happening if something different is happening. And I have a sense that if that were the case, someone would have let me know that by now, but we will definitely look into that. There should not be overcrowding in the classrooms at Data Montessori School, but we'll check that out as well. Yes, ma'am.
Since these new students have arrived at that school, the teachers been having problems with teaching the classroom because they giving more attention to the kids, to the children that's acting out. Because my grandkids come and tell me everything every day, because I asked how their day was, and they saying, well, the teacher had to deal with this student or whatever, and she wasn't able to really teach as well, teach the class as well as she normally do.
Yeah, we do have challenges in our schoolhouses that we do work with and will continue to work with. We're at the time of year too where we have a plan that was put in place for the start of the school year. And as time goes by, we look to see where are we? Are we where we want to be? Are we being successful with all of the children? And there may be things that we need to pivot on, including behaviors and responses to behaviors. And we'll do that as well. So we will address those concerns you have.
So while we talking about behavior,
And
I got 2 incidents. Last year, a student threatened my 6th grader and said she want to kill her. And she told it to the teacher and she told it to another student. Nothing was done about it. And then we got another student there that spits on kids. And nothing is done about that, spitting on children up
Yes, ma'am.
at the school. So you have some kids there that has behavior, but no one's doing anything about it. So, and for a 5th grader to tell another 5th grader, I want to kill you, that's unacceptable. And for somebody to say, oh, she got mental issues, excuse me, I don't care if she do have mental issues. We can't replace Jaylee if she come back.
so
to
what
the
we will
school.
do, yes, ma'am, because I do have your contact information and we have about 18 minutes left to talk about the budget. Happy to talk with you, engage with you more about behaviors that you're concerned about. That's legit. So we will definitely do that, but I don't want to lose the time to help us figure out what direction we're going to go in with the budget, if that's okay.
That's fine.
I
Yes.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. All right, our next question from Facebook. I recently seen a letter written by all Hamilton County School Superintendents regarding property tax. Can you please provide more insight on the importance of this letter?
Superintendents and treasurers, actually, but,
Superintendents and treasurers from Hamilton County, and this is related to what the treasurer referred to, and I made a comment as well. But actually, our treasurer is the one who really initiated bringing everyone together, so I'll ask him to talk about it.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Superintendent. Yeah, this is kind of a new initiative, so actually I can't take credit. The folks in Allen County started it out a little bit earlier, but the idea was to get all school districts in the county to speak with one voice. Because, while we have very different student populations, while we may have very different, size and issues and things, the property tax reforms that are proposed are a threat to all of us. And so it was great to get everyone together on one page. The big points in that letter, one, obviously, is there is a potential ballot initiative next year to eliminate property taxes. That would be a catastrophic thing across the state, because you have to remember your property taxes not only fund schools, they fund the county, they fund parks, cities, police, fire, EMS. I mean, there's a ton of the zoo, there's a ton of things that are funded by property taxes. So we understand there's a need for reform, and we understand that property owners are stressed out. It's tough. It's a tough economy out there. Our ask is that as the state looks at legislative solutions, that we don't sacrifice the progress the schools have made for property tax relief. There are paths forward that are win-wins for both, both for the communities as a whole and their schools. And so that was the purpose of the letter, just to put out there to help us, talk to your legislatures, become engaged in these conversations, learn what these things are going to do, and help us all advocate for a solution that benefits the entire community and doesn't pit one group of people, your homeowners, against your children. We can't sacrifice our future for our past, and the state has the ability to do the right thing here.
Wow, thank you, Treasurer Mike. We greatly appreciate that, and thank you both for the letter. Our next question is from Zoom. What do all of you see as being the most challenging with budgetary decisions?
I was asked that question a lot last school year, and it continues, and that's just around the unknowns for the budget. The treasurer mentioned some things that the state will be making decisions about. We are hoping that the decisions are favorable to public school districts across the state, not just Cincinnati Public Schools, but because you don't know, you're kind of in a limbo situation. The same is true for the federal government. Last year, in late June, maybe it was June 30th, we got information that dollars that we were expecting to have around July 1 would not be coming. And so those dollars have an impact on programming that we need for our young people. And so that it's a lot of pressure trying to understand and make a clear budget if you don't know what other people's decisions may be. That probably for me is the biggest challenge.
I would concur with that, but for the sake of the discussion, I'll go in a slightly different realm, and I'll just say keeping balance is probably the hardest thing we have to do. I mean, I think I speak for the superintendent. We would love to give our young people all the things. There's a ton of programs and ideas that are considered and discussed, and we would love to be able to do every one of those things for our students because they would benefit and because it would help. And so, as you make decisions, it's keeping that balance of understanding that we have to look back as a whole and figure out how to take our limited resources and do the most good for the most folks. And so I would say that's kind of my biggest challenge.
Thank you, and thank you for the question. Please feel free to continue to ask questions of the panel. We have about 13 minutes left. We also have a comment from Facebook. Thank you, superintendents and treasurers with S's. So I presume this is for all of our Hamilton County treasurers and superintendents. So a shout out from Facebook for your effort in the letter. So thank you. Checking the room. We have any questions from the room?
Yeah.
Take your time.
Sorry.
All right, we're going to take a question from the room. Bear with us one moment here.
Take your time. We just want you to use the mic so the people online can hear as well.
All right, good evening. My name's Sarah Lytle. I've taught in the district for 13 years at Sands and at Gamble. I'm on medical leave this year, taking care of my parents, but I'm wondering, the schools that I've taught in, schools have different levels of parent support. So some schools raise a lot of money and are able to do extra things for their kids from money that's school-specific. So if you're sitting at Gamble and you're looking at Walnut, you're feeling like there's more happening there because they have some pots of money that they can do stuff for students that we can't. So I'm just wondering and I'm new to this budget world, like I've been busy in my classroom, I don't know how the pie, I don't understand the income pie, I don't understand the output pie, but I do think that within the district, there's a feeling of inequality between schools, and I wonder what we can do to make sure that kids at one school and faculty at one school aren't sitting there feeling like they can't do for their kids what other people can do because of the wealth of that particular school, if I'm making any sense.
Yes, ma'am. Perfect sense. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for your service in Cincinnati Public Schools. I have a couple of responses to that. One, being a community learning center, our board has said all of our schools will have a lead agency, all of our schools will have resource coordination. I have seen, when I was a principal, but having that resource coordinator help to fill some of those gaps. What I have experienced in my year and a half being in the superintendent role is there are a lot of people in this city who want to help us, don't always know how to help, but I think having those resource coordinators will help each individual school formulate what their needs are and can reach out to people who are willing to support us. On a bigger scale, I understand what you're saying about some schools may have parents, they may have alum, they may have a foundation. And so in speaking with our board this past spring, they did make agreement for us to be able to start a foundation for the school district. And part of the basis of that foundation is just what you're saying. There are some schools that can pull off amazing fundraisers and in a weekend earn X amount of dollars to be able to support their kids and their teachers. But you're right, that it's not to that degree everywhere. And so one of my goals is that in starting this foundation, Kid Future CPS, which has a transformation from activities beyond the classroom, is that we'll begin to get there. It will take us some time, but I believe that there are a lot of people in the city of Cincinnati who want to help our kids be successful, don't always know how, but this is one way that they would be able to do that, helping all of our kids. Oh, Mr. Crossett is going to add, but he's going to walk to the microphone as well. We can get his answer. Mr. Crossett is our newest board member as of right now. That'll change in January, but he is the liaison from the board to the Kid Future CPS Foundation.
Yes, thank you. That's right. I'm a Cincinnati Public School Board member and the liaison to the new Kids Future CPS, which is the foundation for Cincinnati Public Schools. And I'm just reiterating what the superintendent said, but maybe in a little different way, but it does give the district to create equity amongst the schools, especially the schools that don't necessarily have the ability to do a fundraiser within the school to the extent that other schools do. So it is an equity-focused plan. It'll take a while, but we'll get there. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. And I see our vice president is going to share some things too.
I think it's an important question, and I think the proper answer, especially from a standpoint of there are schools where there is great wealth among the population that is attending those schools. And so there is that opportunity where parents can do the fundraising, and I think that is part of the function for the new foundation district-wide would be that. But in the budget process, something that people really don't realize is that if you look at our schools where there is among the greatest poverty, you will see the largest expenditure per pupil than where there is not poverty. It's very interesting. People don't realize that if you are a Title I school, you will receive more money in that school budget because you're a Title I budget, a Title I school. If you have kids that are indeed economically deprived in some way, shape, or form, there's other dollars. So when you really look per school and per student, there's a degree of trying to address an equitable distribution of the resources that we have. It doesn't seem to be that way, but it is when you look per school. But where we can't compete is if there is a concentration of wealth and parental involvement. They have the extra sorts of things. But again, for Cincinnati Public, whether it's extracurricular or art or music or curriculum academically, or whether it's support for kids regarding health or nutrition or counseling services, there is an effort to not make everything equal, but to make things equitable, meaning you put your greatest resources where the greatest need is. So, and there's that's the real challenge in the budget, and that's what we do. And I think the numbers would prove that out. I hope that said something correct, Treasurer Mike. But it's an interesting thing, let alone our facilities. The facilities don't differ from school to school. And that's because of the generosity 20 years ago or a little bit less from our population, our taxpayers, who gave us $1.7 billion. And when this district redesigned itself physically, it started with the schools that needed it the most. It didn't start where there was already wealth and a building that looked okay. So it's a constant source of commitment, I think. But that's the big question. How do we make this better for where there isn't the concentration of wealth?
Thank you both. Let me fill in a little there since we're talking budget process. So when our budget process starts, the first part of it is a bit of equality. You know, there's some formulas on how we allocate teachers based on student enrollment. There are some purely pupil things, right? That says you get this amount of money per kid, right? And that's kind of set your base. So we'll call. But then there is a lot of work on equity. Vice President Bolton mentioned Title I. You know, I mean, a couple of schools you mentioned aren't Title I schools. You know, and so Title I schools do get money specifically to kind of move that to make up for economically disadvantaged populations. I mean, that's the purpose of Title I. So there's that. There's a lot of equity decisions as we get kind of further down the budget process. So once we lay in the basics, then we go back and look at individual school needs. That's why I think Superintendent Murphy mentioned like the LSDMC. If people really want to make decisions at the school level, getting involved in your LSDMC is a place to do it, because they have some leeway on what programs, what things they fund. And then, yeah, there are some bigger programs like athletics, like some of our whole child things that tend to bring equity across the district as well, as much as we can. But yeah, it's hard to compete with a Friends of or a PTO that is a big fundraiser, and hopefully, Kid Future as it moves forward, does help all the schools kind of have that experience. I mean, the one thing I've said, to I think several people at Kid Future is if you would just make your goal to make CPS a suburban district, that would be our gold standard, right? To have those extra resources that help out with all the little things, whether it's band trips or student activities or all those things, and I think we're moving in that direction.
Thank you very much. We have a couple more questions. We'll make sure we're running short on time, but we're going to make sure to clear those few questions before we finish up. So bear with us for just a few minutes here, and thank you for staying with us.
Just a quick question to kind of level set in terms of the operating budget for the district. Can you just, I know it's on the spot to give exact numbers, I'm not asking for that, but just specifically or generally, the operating budget for the district any given school year, and obviously with anticipating funding, I know you said it depends on certain factors and things, but in an ideal world, if you could budget, given what you may expect from the federal government, et cetera, what would that look like for 2026, 2027?
I won't go to idea. I will say our target for next year is 634.2 million. And that's very close to where we are. Last year, the year before that, we were about 10 million higher. We were at 644. So we're right in that range. And hopefully, we stay in that range. Obviously, we're waiting on the state. An ideal number, I don't even really know what that would be. Obviously, every budget year we're making choices that are difficult. They're always, wishes that don't get funded. But I would look at that 634 number as a good place to start. And so as we make choices, as we choose what to invest in, we'll have that target, and the idea is to build up to that target. So as we kind of build and put pieces together, we try to build up to hit that number.
All right, thank you. A couple comments here from Facebook to finish this out. Thank you, Superintendent Murphy and the board. The foundation news is amazing. So just a comment and a throw out there. Next, a question. Always wondered why CPS doesn't have a relationship with Great Oaks, especially since nearby districts do. Does our current budget support articulation agreement between CPS and Great Oaks?
So what Cincinnati Public Schools has decided to do, having a partnership with the Oaks is one option, but what we do is provide career and technical education opportunities for young people right here in our school district. So let's say you want to graduate from high school and go into the world of healthcare. You don't have to leave your home school to do that. You can do that right here in the district. And so the programming that we have is based on what community, what students, and what families have said they wanted to be able to provide for their children. So this year, for example, we added entrepreneurship because all of those entities said, hey, our kids are interested in learning how to be entrepreneurs. But here in our district, you can get anything from information technology, you can get engineering, manufacturing, the construction trades. We have everything that you need right here in our school district. Now, what we're hoping in the next couple of years is to be able to add 2 more programs because kids are asking for it, and that is in the realm of cosmetology and in automotive. At one point in our school district, many years ago, we did have those for kids. Those went away. We're working to bring those back right now.
Thank you very much, Superintendent.
Yes.
All right, and thank you from Facebook for pointing out the impact of poverty in our communities. So a shout out and thank you. And let's see, just double checking here. And our last question from Facebook. Yes, so if schools are receiving more money, why are lower performing schools still not improving? How is money being spent in our lower performing schools? Thank you for that question.
Yeah, great question. So we are working really hard to bring our lower performing schools up. And actually, we did this past year see a lot of progress, not where we want to be, but we are making progress. I'll give you an example. Last year, we did a deep push on our Algebra 1 students and classes. And because of additional resources our school board approved, we were able to see a 9 percentage point gain in our state test. So we are extremely happy about that. We also saw a great component. We are the #1 district in the Ohio 8, the urban Ohio 8 school districts in achievement and in early literacy. And so there are a lot of things that we're really proud of. We understand, we know we still have work to do. We've put some things in place to be able to support schools, starting with reviewing the data that we get from the state, monitoring the students' work along the way with our benchmark assessments, and preparing them for state testing and beyond.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. And thank you all again for joining us. We did share a survey at in the comments of both Zoom and Facebook. Please feel free, if you're watching, to take the time to fill out those surveys and help give us input on how you would like to see the budget progress as we continue forward in this season's budget season. Superintendent and Treasurer, would you like to close us out?
I really want to say thank you to everyone here in the auditorium and on Facebook and across Zoom for participating with us today. This again is the beginning. This is the second engagement session that we've had. We appreciate your comments, your questions, and your ideas. Keep them coming.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Thank you for everyone who was able to participate today. And even if you didn't ask a question, but just listened, hopefully you gained some knowledge. I mean, these are invaluable as we go through what we're doing here. Even the questions and just new ways of thinking and things. And I would say, please stay tuned as we go through the budget process. In the strategic plan process, there's lots of opportunities for engagement. And we really do value and appreciate your feedback.
All right, and everyone have a wonderful night. Thank you.